Right, it should be working. Okay. Right, today I'm going to be doing a really big visual where to begin? A kind of lecture. Is a lecture. It's going to be my beliefs. I believe that it's all about art. It's all about what I believe art is. A lot of people think, gosh, that's quite a biggie. You know, how can you say what art is and what art isn't? It is possible. It's not going to be an easy task, but if anyone's got any impatience to go through this with me, and I always get arguments because it's the culture we're living in now, a culture of argument. I'm just going to talk about my issues of today's contemporary art world, including the word itself. Yeah, and a lot of people don't seem to see the wording in things, which is a really big problem. My outlook on art is very it's about instinct. It's about how we all artists in some way, but we choose to neglect that. I think the culture of I'm gonna draw all this. I prefer to do stuff visually. I think in kind of diagrams and videos and all kinds of stuff. It isn't always a good thing because it's caused me a lot of illness recently through my imagination being too powerful. And I'm having to try and tame it. So I'll just get rid of this. This is all on Photoshop. So I'll just get the basic stuff. I'm going to have to view and fit on screen. Square. I'll have to zoom in. No, not now, cat. Right, zoom in. So I'm going to zoom in to a point where we've got quite a lot of white space. I've done these things before, these visual lecture things. I don't like to say lecture because it's almost as if you're sort of imposing your beliefs on others. Oh no, well, I'm going to use the magnifying glass. Where are you? Bear with me, should have set this up early before. Should be tools, there we are. Come back tools, I must have deleted you. Right, lovely. So we've got plenty of white space here to draw on. Lovely. Right, a basic brush. Something for scribbling. Let's just reset brushes. No, there's a reset. So that's what it looks like. Let's choose a colour, that'll help. Okay, so where do we begin? So I'm just gonna, yeah, that's not bad. No, it isn't very good. I'll just go with the basic one. Right, so I'm just gonna draw the word, just draw the word art. Okay, let's just, I like creating headings. Now, the biggest difficulty we've got today when it comes to art is education and politics, social politics. You could even go as far as to saying it's a cultural conspiracy. Now, as soon as you say the word conspiracy, we're living in an age now where conspiracy is deemed as the guy walking around with the bloke walking around with the border saying the world's going to come to an end, blah blah blah. I'm not going to get into it that deep, because at the moment I've gone into conspiracies too much and it kind of blows your head off. And it's not affecting my immediate environment. So I'll just put an arrow there, so below me. I'm going to split it into two fractions, into two areas, this page. Right, one's concept. I'm going to choose opacity and flow. Right, concept. If I spell anything wrong, it's because I'm not very good with spelling. Concept. Everything I do is phonetic, in some way. I don't see the structure of words very well. As in the theory of the kind of whatever, really. I don't know. I'm not going into that. You've got concept, and you've got what could be that? Let's just put anti-conceptual. No, that's a big one. Let's just call it outsider art, because if you're not using concept today, they call you an outsider. It's quite a strong one, isn't it? Outsider art. So you've been cast out. That's how I see it. You're an outsider. You're not a part of. What are you part of? Are you part of some kind of society? Are you part of the education system? A lot of people say, yeah, it's to do with getting a degree. It's to do with getting qualified. It's to do with, you're not good enough, or you're not going to. What's it tell you, outsider? So it's an interesting one. So I'm going to create a little. I like to create a little crack here. Now it's impossible to really divide the two completely, because some people that believe in concept will have some okay, well, I agree to a degree some of this. So yeah, at art college, that's as far as I got. I couldn't stick it. I kept hearing this. Everything I did, or everything I ever attempted to do, was classed as outsider art. What I was doing, I'll just create stage one. What I was doing at college, stage one of this, and we'll work our way down. So it goes down and down deeper into the subject. What I was doing at stage one was when I was given some kind of, I'm going to draw a little book here, a task, okay, criteria, or task for what they call modules or assignments. They would expect you to conceptualize. No, come on. No distractions. That's my cat. One of my cats. They wanted me to go and research, so I was having to go out there and can't spell that one very well. I know what it looks like in my mind. I have to remember every word in my head, which makes life a bit difficult. You've got to go out there and research. Okay, so you go out there and read a few books. Hence why there's a book. Inspiration in today seems to be a vital thing. It's a cultural necessity. So isn't that kind of, to me, isn't that kind of plagiarism? But fair enough, appreciation of art, yeah. But do you need that? Do you need to look over art to do art? It does help to a degree, so I can't say I'm a complete anti-conceptualist. It's nice to look at other stuff. But, so obviously it's nice to appreciate art, but there's not one artist out there whose work I would buy. I don't know why that is. I don't feel right doing it. That's the way I see things. So, I'll just type in artists. I wouldn't buy the work for my home, but I appreciate them. Free. They want you to basically just think about some kind of issue or the module itself. A lot of these modules, a lot of these assignments. So I'm just going to put thinking. Were, let's say, very the way that they give you an assignment would be something very bland. To me, it was bland. I think one I had at college was attic, so I'm just going to write that down. The attic. I think it was trying to look at things like attic. I can't even spell attic, so I'm just going to put at. I think it's double T or something. Attic. No, I've got that wrong. It doesn't read right. But attic, and another one was called signs and instructions. Very conforming thing, I think. Signs and instructions. Don't like them myself, because a sign in itself is a symbol of command or symbol of instruction. So a sign is a very conforming thing, and I don't really want to go near that. And I think it was bland. You see signs everywhere, and science bottles that say, you know, across. And for me, the whole thing was very abstract. You've got that one, haven't you? Hazardous material, is it? Irritable. I think you've got one here, not corrosive. It's an acid or something like that. So the problem I had was that everything just seems very bland. So I don't like the word bland. I think education has become very bland. I don't know if I've spelled that right, but so what. So for me, because I would be given one of these tasks, my way of doing it, my creative way of doing it, was in my little brain, was instantly, I'm going to do that to represent, I do an eye. My way was to get visions in my head. Okay, now the attic one. The attic one, what I did is I went and automatically I saw this film in my head of an attic, different stories in my head of what could happen in an attic. So I created like a little horror film. With what I couldn't do it myself, so I created me a little puppet, like miniature theatre. Instantly I thought, well, you've got the resources, you've got cardboard, you've got a glue. I went and brought a glue gun. I created an attic floor and some objects, different things. I was going to create different stories and videos. And I got a video camera. One of them big ones at the time. Video camera. and shot movies. Now I didn't want to do it stop cut, so it was just one picture after another. I actually used my kind of hid my fingers from the view. Well, I think I might have used string as well, like a puppet show thing. And I instantly just created videos, so it was an instant process. I didn't care for the concept of the film. I just did it for fun, play, amusement. So for me, it was all about just making things up as and when. So it's kind of improvised as well. Improvised. And it was all just looking at, I painted the walls. I did go one step here. I did get something, a little bit of, like I said earlier, from the artist Francis Bacon, who I always like to go to, because his stuff deals with the macabre. And it was just, I like the painting style that he has, which is figurative, but still slightly abstract. Because I ain't got the energy to, personally I'm not one of these that could spend, hours and hours constantly doing realistic stuff. So I ended up doing like strange kind of faces with teeth, and screams, and all kinds of weird stuff. I incorporate that into it. Now I went with this video, I then took it to the edited it in iMovie, adding music, text, credits and stuff like that. Title. Took it to tutor, teacher, who scrapped it. They scrapped it because it wasn't. There was no theory gone into it. There was no written work. There was no There was none of this developing it beforehand. None of this. I can't do that. I don't. It bores me. It bores me doing anything, preparation and everything, and study. Just to create something, just create something spontaneously, something that exists within that time. For me, after so long, if I'd have spent a week on study and written work, I would have lost the desire. Or the desire or the enjoyment, the play, it would have all gone. It'd been overkill. I always use it overkill. I don't know if it's a common word used, but it's overkill for me. It's gone by then. I don't want that object anymore. I don't want to be doing it forever and ever. When you can just go at something and go for it and create something as and when, that's the way I am. Don't forget, I don't know if people won't know on here if they've seen these videos for the first time, I have Asperger's. So perhaps that's because I must be, because maybe I see things differently to other people. I believe in the craftsmanship of things. I believe that you just go and do them, you make them, you create them. You don't even need. For me, I don't like going anywhere near this whole thing about. Well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just rub that out because that's just my take on it. I'm an outsider because of the way I do art. In college, I was I've always been very annoyed with art college. Because they really did. I mean, it's difficult having Asperger's for one, but then when you've got teachers basically just arguing with you. I mean, I argued because I went into the old instinct of art. And they said art didn't exist until sometime when in history, when people were doing certain kinds of art. They didn't think cave paintings were art, blah blah blah. I'm not going into all of that, but let's have a look. So outside of art and concept. Now conceptual, the problem you've got with conceptual art, and this is what I keep going into and into and into. And I don't get it. And I'm not going to argue with people, and I'm not going to even go along, I'm not going to consider what they say. And a lot of people say, well, that's not very... No, that's just me being me. At the end of the day, there's so many people want to argue about this because they want to make simple art. Right? If people want to go out there and make simple work, right, you get all these people nowadays that seem to want to get involved in the art world. They go to art college and education. Is creating. You might like this. You might not like this. Is creating. If you're not an outsider, the education system is good for you. If you've got an interest in art, I bet when you was young, art something completely different. I bet you it was about painting and having fun, get your fingers mucky, blah blah blah. Right? It was another great artist, I can't remember the name now. It was sad that art is you know, all children are artists. So let's do a little picture of a kid. Well, this is how a kid draws as well, isn't it? You know, little girl here. Right, she is interested in making a mess, having fun. And the education system, when you get pulled into it, it starts changing things around. It does, it really does. It starts saying that, I mean, this isn't probably to do with culture, it's to do with society, it's to do with being an adult. It wants you to start conceptualizing, it wants you to start, it's a process. And it's a process that, like I've just said, it tries to make you more left brain. It makes you want to. The process is, they call it mind mapping. I remember doing it. You start off with an idea, and you go out and you get another idea, and you go off and do a couple more ideas, loads more ideas. It's almost like quantum, isn't it? It's like quantumness, scientific in that way. And if you think, if you don't think in pictures, and if you think in words, then these words, you know, you're starting to use left brain, so you become quite technical. So coming away from that process of mind mapping, whatever they called it, I think there's always changing it. Oh, I'll add rules as well, because they had rules at college, which was quite strange really, because they said that I think one of the rules was not using black paint. We've got all these kind of really awkward rules, perspective, and all these different artistic rules. That why not? You know, why can't someone create anti-perspective? Why do you have to have perspective? So they used to have a go at me and go, you haven't done that in perspective. Well, I didn't want to do it in perspective. It didn't interest me in perspective. It was just capturing something aesthetic, placing something. It's not always about. With me, it's not always about perspective. I have done art with perspective, which is obviously that old little rule where you've got your horizon point and you're coming up from the horizon point. And it's a way of creating perspective. You have to measure it all, and it's got to be so precise, blah blah blah. Yeah, I can understand that perspective thing. You've got your perspective. Right, so there's rules like that. There's certain paints, don't use black if you're black. And yet this, and what made me laugh was that they were saying things like, because people in the past never had done it. Well, they were going against everything in the past. They were trying to look for something new. So there was kind of like these little rules that they had in regards to art. And this is where the conspiracy sort of thing comes in my mind. Maybe I'm just disgruntled or unhappy. It's almost as if they were making difficulties for the sake of it. It's like they wanted you to fail, or there were certain people that they wanted to see get through. And that's what I don't like about the social aspect of art. Because people that get along, they can make friends, people that can make lots of friends, get more recognition. So it's all about social recognition. I'll just put recog. So it's social to recognition. It's who you know is what you can. So you could do some great work. We'll talk about what work is. And then you end up, you got this recognition. You got great work, but it's not noticed. You're not getting along with them. So you end up becoming visible, kind of thing. So the whole world of social art, I'm going to draw a diagram for it, is like a party. Art has become a party now. I once spoke to an artist, I'm not going to say his name, but he said, I said, what do you like best about being an artist? And he says, doing for parties. I'm not going to say much about that. But here we are, so you've got, this is to me is a representation of the party, so you've got the loners outside of that circle, they're not involved in it. They're doing work on their own. And I'm going to name a few artists that I think were outsider. I think that Lowry, not that his work was amazing, but Lowry was definitely an outsider. He did it all himself. And say Van Gogh was a bit. Taught himself. And you've got a lot of other artists as well. There's some outside artists that I can't really think of the names. If you're in the elite, if you've been to a university, people do succeed when they come from different towns and cities. I don't think they want that. I don't know where Damien Hirst is from and all them lot. But they are part of this like little elite capitalism thing. And the danger of that is that it rules so many people out. Different styles. So if you're into different kinds of art, say like realism, if they think there's no hidden messages or agendas or anything like that in that work, no matter how good it is, go away. You're annoying me. Right, if that realism doesn't say much to them, or is it quirky, or doesn't say anything, so say, I'll put no say. It's not good enough. It's no good. You've got artists like Banksy that are inside this. They did, and I know he went to university. I've heard Banksy. I'll probably spell it even wrong. Banksy. His work to look at It's quite grey, isn't it? Quite dull and grey. They were teaching us at college, Banksy. He was like the biggie. What was he saying? It was political. It was different. But looking at it, I don't think it was beautiful. I think it was ugly. And a lot of people say, well, it doesn't mean... Yeah, I'm agreeing with that. Just because it was ugly, it doesn't mean it's art. But this is where I get angry, because he's making a statement, but he's not a good artist. As far as I'm concerned, he isn't doing enough. He does his stencils or whatever, stencil graffiti. Right? But I think it's just... Banksy, he just... People took photographs of it and did prints. It was just so Warhol. Now a lot of people say Warhol was an Asperger's, same as me. Right. I heard that he'd got people to do work for him and things like that. What a prick. Like, he was an inside artist, Warhol. Right. He was into all the printmaking and everything. He teaches at schools anyway. I don't know if it's been since Warhol or whatever. But he was a mass producer. He wanted it work to just... He kind of killed the old craftsmanship thing. Each piece of work he did was replicated. It was like photography in some ways. I mean, I'm a photographer, but I don't see photography, or I do see photography as art. If it's not done with the technicality or the specialism, then if you just capture... I mean, no, sometimes it can be what it represents. You can capture a picture of someone dying, or a dead body to see you went out on the streets, but you'd probably sell it. You'd probably do really well capturing a decayed, murdered body, something like that. So, you know, that's, again, it's about concept of photography. But looking at all these different kinds of art, you've got the insiders and the outsiders in this circle. If you're not in the party, the chances are you'll never get noticed. You'll never get seen, you'll be invisible. And I think the actual... Let's look at that now. And go into the actual work itself, what art is. I might still leave the concept thing up there, because a lot of people say work is concept. So I want to argue with that one. Okay. There's the tools done again. So, yeah, brush. Pencils are better. I'll keep it a brush. So you've got your concept, right? The art. A lot of people are saying art is whatever you want it to be. So let's do a little gallery here. Let's say this is a gallery. First of all, I said this the other day on a discussion. A brick. And I bet someone's done it. I won't be surprised if they have. So you've got your brick. Right, got your brick. Right. Someone's put it on a... I don't know what. Plinth, is it? Something like that. Is that the right word? Right, and then we put this... We've got a thing on the plinth. And they're going on and on about this brick. And this gallery. It's probably been located from... It's probably been taken... Let's think of somewhere quite, you know... The room where, let's say, Bin Laden's... Bin Laden... Is it Bin Laden or Bin Laden? Bin Laden. Say it was the brick from the place where he was supposedly assassinated. Killed. Right, so I'll just put killed there. Right. Automatically someone's going to go, ooh, I'll bring that to an art gallery, that brick. I'll write all about it. That that whole concept, the whole idea that it's been taken from me, that to people would really excite them probably. If the artist said enough about it, if he said it added a bit of blood on it, that would probably add to the equation. Not maths, is it? If he said that fragments of that on his body, that would add to the equation. And the list goes on. Let's think of more. I mean, an artist can do this. This is how they bluff you. I mean, how do you know that brick was actually from them? And if it was, so what? It's a bloody brick. You know what I mean? Oh no, it's got more to it though, hasn't it? The artist has given you so much to go on. The brick was one of a kind. It was different from the whole rest of the building, so a one-off brick. And these are the things that come out. I know that's the actual object itself. They want to give you. They've got all these different things for that object. Another thing they'll use is they'll go into this kind of theoretical stuff. So say that brick isn't from when Bin Laden was killed. Let's say that brick is just a brick. They don't care. They'll just call it brick. All right. And you'll be standing there, and I know a lot of people go, You'll get someone here standing. Eyes looking. You'll see them in galleries staring at nothing really before all these stupid things. And they'll be looking at this brick and they'll be going, oh yeah. They'll be reading this information and the guy's going on about it. They'll probably say something to do with they like to add sexuality. I think Tracy Emin was a good one for that. And feminism. I think she was. I'm not sure if she was using feminism. I think obviously she was. She wanted to show what a dirty thing she was. So you've got sexuality, you've got feminism. They will often try and use the dimensions and things like that, using words, technical words. So they'll use technicality or technical. You'll say something like, look at it close, and it grows bigger. Or, is it really a giant brick? You know, how can we really measure it? Look at all the gaps or little holes in it. Look at the textures. You know, they'll go into the text. So it's all looking at technical stuff. They'll probably tip it to one side just to add some sort of wackiness to it. So they like to use the word. They like to use quirk. They know that works. They know that's a seller. So they like to add something a bit unusual about it. They'll probably add. Let's say they put a tomato on top of it, something like that. Yeah, they have like a leaf thing, don't they? Right, you, clear off, you little gremlin. Alright. So they'll have a tomato on top of it. They'll probably splash it about a bit so you've got a bit of blood coming. You know, and they'll say something like it's the collision of nature and food, the GM, or something sad like that. Something really dire, really bland. So as much as to try and add it, I'll probably put a little ribbon around it, pink ribbon. Some artists would probably do that. Probably put a little ribbon around it, pink ribbon, and a brick. You're going to be thinking, people are going to be looking and going, what? That is different. I've never seen a pink ribbon around a brick before. But they're making something big out of something that's not big. So they increase, they're using all of this bullshit here that's written on this little thing here. Alright, and they're going, that's great work. Right, and it's probably going to, what's this person going to do? Are they going to put it, is someone going to buy this? Are they going to buy it? I think they're just buying the bullshit, the ideas. I don't think they're worth anything. You could go and kick that brick off that thing, and what difference would it make? But they'll put a price tag on that. They'll put someone up, go and put a price tag on it, and think what that brick could be worth, what someone stupid stupid would do. I mean, do they really buy it? Or do they just pretend to? Is it all a conspiracy? I don't know. Right, let's put a figure on this. Let's make out it's being auctioned in America for 45. There we go. 45. $45? No. $45,000? No. Let's be ridiculous. $45 million. So you're looking at probably about 26 million English pounds or whatever. Which I've probably done wrong, I don't know. So someone's put a figure on that brick. Is someone really going to buy that? Alright then, let's go for the Damien Hirst trick. Let's already get something that's got value. And that brick, let's cover it with diamonds. Keep it nice and sparkly. You know, the diamonds are worth something anyway, and they are pleasing to the eye. Let's just cover the whole brick in diamonds. So it's got this brick with a diamond on it, and a tomato on top. Let's not take away the tomato, shall we? A brick of diamonds. So this, I know what he's going to do, Damien. In all of his illusionary, in all of his bullshit, in all of his... See, yeah, people are actually looking up to these people, right? These artists of today. And they're going, oh. They're going, well, he's got a brain, hasn't he? He can come out of all this stuff. Nothing more than crooks. And not just that, then these people used to go around with these carts selling like, let's do a bottle of miracle hair cure. And because they've got that bullshit social cure for hair loss. Ooh, yeah. Let's tie in with this fella here. He's got all that hair now because of this. What they're doing, it's so simple. I don't understand why people don't see this. I think it's education, personally. Is this bottle of hair loss, this hair cure, there's nothing more than someone that's good at using words and talking the talk, selling the naff product. And conceptualization and capitalization, we should stop doing that. Capital as well, let's not forget that, equals today's art world, contemporary. Now I'm going to go a bit further down now because I looked it up. I'm just going to double check actually in front of everybody now. Right. So look at the word concept. No, capital. What was going to look up? Capital. Concept. Conceptual. No, contemporary. Sorry, contemporary. That's it. Contemporary. I can never spell that one. We've got there. Right, contemporary. What does it mean? It's an interesting one. If you zoom in. Right, contemporary. It's existing, occurring or living at the same time, belonging to the same time. That's the new to look at it. Here we are. A lecture on the contemporary novel of the present time. Modern, so it's an alternative word for modern. I don't think the word modern was great anymore. I didn't enjoy that one. So they've obviously gone. Contemporary sounds a little more. You can sell the word contemporary more. You know, if something's a contemporary piece of art, sounds better than modern art. So before we have modern, let's take it to contemporary. But what scares me is it says here, at the present time. Don't any of you see the problem with that? Does anyone see a problem with that? Twelve, 3, 6, 9. Does anyone see a problem? Time. What comes next? So we've got past, the present, now, let's say now. Present time. The present time and future. You can't go anywhere. You can't obviously do future art. It'd be interesting to see that. But I've got a real big issue with this present thing here. It's almost as if there's different stages in art, isn't it? If you look at art history, you've got prehistoric, I'll just put pre, and you've got Renaissance, haven't you? I'm not even gonna. You've got all these different, and then you've got movement, romanticism, and all that, which was quite. Then you go into then it became modern. Let's say it was the 20th century, wasn't it? And that was I think it was, I don't know when it came in. When did they pull that one in? The word contemporary, or was it the 90s? Was it in this the 21st? It's all contemporary now, obviously. I know the word contemporary has been used a lot. You got contemporary music or contemporary dance, contemporary art. I don't even like that fucking word. Sorry to swear, but I just don't like it. I've had enough of the word. It's just pompous. It's a very pretentious word. You mean contemporary. It just sounds so flat. And to me, I don't even like the word because it's got no imagination in it. All of this kills art. The word contemporary can kill art as far as I'm concerned. It's got no enjoyable word to it. Can't anyone think of anything new? And it's all after gear around and conceptual. I mean, raw art. People say, well, that's just a kind of art. Right, and cuckoo. What comes next? Are we ever going to go anywhere new? Or have we ended up just repeating the same stuff? Is it regurgitative? That's a conspiracy in itself, the wording. Let's think of the word, geeky art. Come on. I mean, does it have to have any concept whatsoever? Personally, I like the masks that I think it's Tiki, isn't it? In the Tiki Warriors. I like them. Why not call it Tiki art? Tiki art. Why do we have to have that? Let's think something new. Visionary art. I know there is a visionary art. Let's go for occult art, secret art. I don't think that one was very good. Especially, I shouldn't really have used that one. Mysterium. Think of all these quite interesting words. Mysterium. I mean, art itself. Let's look at arcane. I like that word, arcane. Anyway, I mean, I'm not very good at words. Come on, I mean, I don't get all of this. This is what I'm seeing in the art world today, and I'm not happy with it. A lot of people say, well, it's tough luck, tough tit, You're not happy with it. So what? I am happy with it. And you know why I'm happy with it? Because anyone can become an artist. Right, especially someone with a bit of money in the pockets. Yeah? Someone that's got a lot of friends. Someone that's been to wherever, Oxford, Cambridge, Leeds University, wherever. Personally, I think it's very Orwellian. the political side of it, I think it's killing art. If they're killing sex, love, they're killing love, they're killing art in such a stealthy way, because you think you're living in a very cultural economy. You think you're living in a very culturally diverse economy. Right. What we should have done, this is my opinion of what we should have done, is instead of using concept, we should be using the still on that we should be using imagination. Imagination, some people would say, is the same as concept. Right. And in some ways it can be definitely a concept, but it's a different kind of concept. It's let's try and doing stuff from nowhere. Let's be more inventive. Let's be more magical. And if anyone, I'll give you an example here. If anyone can't see the regurgitation of J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series, if anyone can't see that that's just borrowed off other ideas, monsters, myths, and a lot of everything nowadays, where's a new myth? So yeah, oh God, I don't know what happened there. Let's look at myth. Let's create new myth. Years ago they created myths, they created these creatures, they created all of these monsters that you see today, all these witches and stuff, created them. Right, that was imaginative, that was someone using their minds there, you know. Every so often, yeah, I think the latest myth we've got, I don't think it's a myth, but the latest sort of creature that we've designed is the alien. Because obviously society and technology has brought that into our consciousness. Why can't we invent new realms, new places? Why can't we look at new structures? Art really is an architect, and it can create. Obviously, art creates buildings. It's an architecture. Okay, so you've got buildings. Art can be considered everything. I think art is a philosophy. So, something's going on here. I think it's computers, memories clogging up. So you've got your philosophy, you've got politics. Art can be political. We know that because you've got a lot of demonstrators, political activism, political. So, of course, and if you kind of look at all of these, art can be the precursor to change. And someone tells me that all of this change, right, say for instance you've got someone here that draws, look at the swastika, that was a symbol of art, an artistic symbol, one of the most powerful images. I won't even write it on here, but it causing too much controversy. Plus, I never draw it right. I probably would draw it wrong. We need to start looking at stuff in a cult way again, in a craftsmanship, in a cult way. And symbology is so important. Symbols. It's been abused. The dream, the imagination, the dream is important. The subconscious. Surrealism did it and it died. Why did surrealism die? It could have carried on and going on and on. But the term surrealism. Surrealism, anyone that knows about surrealism, someone went and really screwed it up. Can't remember that. I know you got Duchamp, who did the toilet urinal signature thing, which seems to be really big at the moment. They've got a thing called Dada. Dada is today's inside art. In many ways. So surrealism, unfortunately, it went wrong because surrealism was about kind of looking at exploring the dream and twisting reality. You twisted art with it, so you start saying, well, okay, you can crack an egg, dolly who can crack an egg and chuck things around in a room. And so we'll just do something just as absurd and create and scribble on an urinal. And I'm sorry, that's, to me, is just taking the piss. If anyone with a brain should know. I see art all the time. I see society wanting to produce art. Yeah, I mean, I mean, a lot of people frown upon this, but you see, toilet art. I mean, I could actually, someone's probably do this if they watch this video now. They'll probably conceptualise on that toilet art. Like, you're going to get someone that's going to go around toilets and take photographs of all the, you know, I'm not even going to draw it, but the phallic symbols that you get in them and telephone numbers and all this kind of stuff, and photograph that and call it art. Someone could do that. I could do it today and just go and flag it and say, look, this is new art. Put it in galleries. And people, you get some arsehole, and to be honest, I probably just really have done it now. I've actually given someone a brilliant idea. They're photographing toilet art and then putting it in exhibitions. And it's kind of like a kind of presentation of the world. There's so many different ideas I've got that I could do, but I'm prevented from doing because of my shyness of society. If I was going to toilets taking pictures, someone's going to ask questions. What are you doing that for? I can't deal with that conflict. So that's my issues with art. It's too much conflict. I mean, you've got to be brave as an artist. I've been stopped on streets before and asked difficult questions about why I've got a camera and what I'm doing. And it's always like you're almost about to get arrested if you photograph at the wrong places, and I just can't be dealing with any of that. So I just shy away from it, unfortunately. I can't deal with. I know I'm vulnerable. I'm a vulnerable person because of Asperger's. But art is definitely. I definitely think there's two. I think the reason that I can give for conceptualisation is people would rather talk nowadays. So you've got a person here. Talking to, say, number 8. I think that to me is art has become a socially complex thing. It's become sociable, art, in that way. And yet, so many people are kind of socially excluded, social exclusion, not inclusion yet, it's exclusion, so they're excluded socially, so you're not in the arena. So you consider if you want to work alone, you want to do your own stuff, you've got your own ideas, individualism is outsider. So you become an outsider. You're not going to get your little degree. It says you've conformed or something like that to the modules and syllabus. Your certificate. I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I've kind of basically taught myself. I'm not saying art college was totally disastrous, but could give you some sort of give you sort of missions as such. That sounds a bit military, but it gave me missions. It gave me a kind of rebellious thing. If I go to art college, I go to rebel. I don't want to go there and cause friction, but everything I believed in was totally wrong. So I wasn't good enough to get employment in what I loved, and I was still very socially programmed to what's going off here. I think it's the caches, the memory or something building up. So yeah, I was socially programming, thinking. I mean, recently I've done wedding photography. I was quite successful, and that was just through getting a camera and going out there and taking photographs. And I've learned myself all this computer software, Photoshop, Lightroom, I'm not going to go into everything because it'll take me a while. Learn myself computer software. See, a lot of people come out of college with all this concept. I've seen it time and time again. Oh, good. I'm going to have to end me talk in a minute. They've got all the concept, but they can blag. I like the word blag. Lie. Or not lie, but just talk. And they've got no technical knowledge whatsoever, so Photoshop and all that, they've got none. Whereas I'm the outsider, and I don't mind saying that. To be honest with you, I don't even like the idea of certification. Because I think it can put anyone through. There's so many people getting degrees nowadays anyway. Individualism, again, it's individual versus the social complexities as well. So you've got your sociable, I don't know if this camera's even on me now because I've come down. You've got your social complexity art, which is all to do with, concept and talking and socialising. You've got your outsider art, the loner, the poor artist, blah blah blah. Yeah, art does make you poor. And to be honest with you, I've given up on the idea of ever getting money. I'm quite happy. I'm actually scared to make money now. Believe it or not, I'm actually scared of money. I think it corrupts. Well, it won't corrupt me, but I think it just takes you to places where I don't want to go. It gives you a responsibility of being more. It means you've got to mix with people more. Yeah. A lot of people say, well, what's the issue with people? But it's just that there's so much bullshit. I've been in art galleries before, and people won't even know what to say about one of the paintings I had. And I was at Pall Mall in London. Pall Mall, and I'm not bragging about that. It was an accomplishment for me. And most people just didn't want to go near my painting. They'd rather go to the little things. And it's not saying it's bad art, but in exhibitions, people want to talk to you about stuff. The fact that I won't even be able to talk. I don't know if I'm talking above them or I'm not socially lit. I don't mean above as in they're not as good as me, but can they get on my level? Can they understand what a word I'm saying? I remember a guy called Robin. I think it was Robin or Robert. I think it's Robin Dingham, Dingham, who came and I think he'd seen my painting and he wanted some. He did a show, and I wouldn't do it like this or something. And he was asking me about. He's a choreographer, and he got a place at Nottingham, and he got me to help him. He was collaborating with me on his contemporary dance, and I like that. I like the fact that someone took an interest in my painting, and I could give him some advice. Not advice, some ideas. But again, I felt afterwards almost as if like, why are you getting ideas off other people? Get your own. But I did like the man, and I think he was different. But in some ways, I kind of felt like, who am I to be telling you? You've been educated. You're from New Zealand. You've come over to London or whatever. You're doing choreography. And I kind of gave him some really interesting ideas, and I just thought, gosh. What came out of it really, I just thought, I think he went and did the production, I never got to see it, I'd like, maybe it'd be interesting. I might have looked for it actually online, to see if he actually did use one. He spoke to quite a various people all over the world, asking them about it, and for some reason he wanted to ask me, which was very flattering, it was very flattering, So art itself is, for me, is about primitiveness, it's about instinct. About going back in time and doing things, and doing some stuff that's nice to look at. It doesn't have to say shit. I think if something's great to look at, embrace that beauty and embrace that. And if it's dark, if it's a picture of Satan or something devouring some poor little person or an incubus or something like that, or some kind of satanic ritual, and it's all blood splattering everywhere, and it's dark and gruesome. I won't put that on my wall, as everyone says. That is art. I'm not saying that beauty is art. I'm saying that the aesthetic enchantment, the eye. Oh gosh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I think that's quite a long video. Bloody hell. I think I've covered some of what I believe art to be. Yeah, I think there's so much more I could go into, but I'm quite happy with that. I think I've covered some stuff, but the old argument is some arguments that comes along all the time. And I know people come out of it. Who are you to say what art is? Right. For me, that's my beliefs. If you've got issues with them, fair enough. If you're making money because you do a quick painting, you take about 10 minutes doing painting, or half an hour, or an hour, and it's something that has no real, kind of, it's lack of detail, lack of figuration, there's lack of development. I don't mean conceptual development, I just mean the painting development. There's lack of work, there's lack of craftsmanship, there's lack of any of that. I'm sorry, as far as I'm concerned, it's not art. It might have high standards. I mean, my own art isn't, realistic or anything like that, but I like to think that it's imaginative as well. Art has to have imagination, creation. You've got to play God where art's concerned, and by using bricks. I went into one gallery once, and someone had, I think they put a vending machine in a gallery, and I think it was at the Quad at Derby, and no. I can't, to be honest with you, I can't understand most people's sense of humour. So if it was funny, it was a humour exhibition, and I just thought most of it was shit. Most of it. All of it, actually. Most of the stuff I see in art nowadays now is shit. It's just there to, because someone's been to university, they're an insider artist, and they can produce work, get commissions and shit like that. And they're not putting any skill into it. Some artists on my Facebook are really good, they do some good paintings. The artists. And then there's some that, no, I don't think there's any on my Facebook that aren't really good. No, they're really good. Even some of them are in university and they actually produce decent work. It's interesting aesthetically and visually. But I somehow feel that these people are denying this whole art thing. They're denying it. I think deep down inside they probably feel very disillusioned with it all. Like, hold on a minute, I've done so much work and I'm not getting any praise, and it's delusionment and belittlement. And I think that so much of that is in the art environment today. It's like the art tutor knows more than you, or they know what to say, or you can have your work really at a low level because you haven't done enough written work and you've done more practical. And I think that's wrong. I think if you're producing good work in any way, in any process you've made to produce that work and it's a good result, that to me is art. If it's all what's in a book, what's written, what's said, no, I'm sorry, I just can't go along with that. And that concludes my discussion of art, which I've been wanting to do for a long time, and now I'm getting better, coming off rallying. I'm getting better, I can do this stuff now. I've got to be zonked out for the rest of the day. So okay, I hope you've been watching this, I hope you've got through it, and I'm going to say bye.